Hey there nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and we are back in another episode of Cheap Shots, the series dedicated to showing you how to save money on the wargaming hobby. And on today's episode, we'll discuss how to use the new Space Marine Scout Kill Team box set in your games of Necromunda. We will review the box set's contents, discuss the potential narrative of how these fighters are in Necromunda, discuss the gang's playstyle, provide a 2,000 point credit starting roster, demonstrate how to play this gang on the tabletop, and provide how this gang could develop over the course of a campaign, and overall give our overall conclusion on this box set. Now, because this video will be a little bit more of a deeper dive, I will put timestamps in the description box down below so that way you can click and navigate to the part of the video that concerns you the most. So as you guys are aware, Kill Team Salvation is now available if you're able to get it, of course, and one of the cool kill teams that have been introduced in that box set is the Space Marine Scout Squad. Now, I've done videos in the past before on Cheap Shots where I've shown how you could use kill team box sets and use those same kill teams in your games in Necromunda, and that's exactly what we're going to do in this video by talking about how we can use Space Marine Scouts and use them in our games, in our campaigns, and as gangs within Necromunda setting. So that being said, let's go and talk about what the box set contains. Now, when it comes to the box set contents, you do get 10 Space Marine Scouts that you can create for your kill team, of course. And when it comes to the weapons and equipment that are available in this one, you basically have 2 sniper rifles that you can use for your Space Marine Scouts. You also have options for a heavy bolter as well as a missile launcher for this kill team. And of course, the rest of the weapons are bolt guns and shotguns. For the rest of the fighters, you could also switch out those fighters that have bolt pistols and fighting knives, as well as one chainsword arm as well. So there's actually quite a bit of material that you could use to actually create the various fighters within this box set. And because the materials that are inside of it and for the weapons that are being used, it's going to have a huge impact on what the narrative is going to be for the background of this gang, and we're going to talk about that next and talk about exactly how these guys would fit within the narrative of Necromunda. So the narrative of these miniatures are going to be a House Goliath outcast gang. We're going to focus on the idea that every single miniature is a Necromunda miniature, and I don't care who you are, I will die on that hill defending that statement. And so if somebody you're playing against a Necromunda doesn't want you actually that you use these miniatures, tell them that the narrative behind this is that they're House Goliath outcast gangs, which makes sense because House Goliath actually does a lot of G manipulation with their fighters. They do pretty much the same kind of thing, except maybe a ghetto version of what the Space Marines actually do by giving them organs, giving them enhancements, giving them chems to actually accelerate their growth, just like you would for normal Space Marines, except that, you know, down and dirty in the Necromunda way. And these miniatures are actually quite big and bulky. Now, they're not as big and bulky as with the House Goliath gangs, but they're similar enough in build where you could actually justify it as well. They do have similar looking armor, but their armor that they're wearing, the carapace armor, looks kind of similar to Furnace Plate. The weapons they use, like chain weapons and bolt weapons and shotguns, they're very similar to what Goliaths use as well. Same thing with the missile launcher and the heavy bolter, that comes standard as well. They may be a little bit slimmer than their House Goliath counterparts, but that is the narrative behind it. These guys are probably rejects. The guys didn't actually make the cut, or guys who were not as well developed as the House Goliath wanted to, so they put these guys as outcasts. So these guys are House Goliath runs who are a bit smarter than their normal House Goliath counterparts, and that is the narrative we're going with in this gang. So that being said, let's go and talk about the play style of this gang and how it will operate on the tabletop. Now, the playstyle for the roster that I've created for this gang is going to be very, very aggressive. You're going to be using a lot of medium to close range shooting as well as close combat, and that's because of the type of weapons we're primarily using, which are bolter weapons as well as combat shotguns. Bolter weapons have a maximum range of 24 inches, so you're pretty much fighting in that medium to short range with between 12 to 24 inches as well. Combat shotguns, also relatively short range weapons as well. You do have some very powerful heavy weapons to help balance you out a little bit, so that way you can hit targets at further ranges. We're also going to take advantage of the sniper rifles that come with this box set as well. That is why it's a House Goliath outcast gang, so that way you can get long rifles for your gang as well. And the thing about that is, because the weapons are so powerful, there is going to be a high ammo roll for this army as well for the most part, so you could be really having 4 to 6 up when it comes to your ammo rolls, but there are ways to kind of mitigate that with the roster that we're putting together for this list. One of the nice things about being an outcast gang, of course, is the different kind of skills you can take. So Munitioneer from the Savant tree is going to be really, really important for you. It's going to be your primary friend because it allows you to re-roll failed ammo rolls for your gang as well. At the same time, we're also going to take advantage of gene smithing that comes from the House Goliath book, The House of Chains. That way you can upgrade your outcast fighters, make them a little bit better and make it a little bit more survivable to reflect the fact that they're been genetically modified. And at the same time, they're going to all be able to hold their own in close combat as well because of the powerful weapons available to you from House Goliath. And because when you become a House Outcast gang, you get access to their entire weapon as well as war gear options for your gang as well. So that part's going to be really helpful as well. So that being said, now that we're done talking about the playstyle and narrative, let's talk about the roster. So this is what I like to call the Space Marine Scout Kill Team starting roster for Necromunda, sit in the Aranthi Secession, and this is going to of course be a House Goliath Outcast game that's going to be rated at 1,995 points. And the reason why we're staying with the 2,000 points is because there is no vehicle that's actually with this box set. And like I said before, the idea here is to grow with the idea that you're using this one single box set to play both Kill Team as well as Necromunda. And for the Aranthi Secession, because we have the larger credit starting list, we're going to use that to actually really reinforce this list. So let's talk about exactly who's going to be in this gang. So let's start off with your leader. Your leader is going to be a House Goliath Forged Tyrant. It's going to cost you 345 credits. He's going to be quite expensive because of the weapons and equipment they'll be giving this fighter as well. Now, the reason why we can take a Goliath Forged Tyrant is because when you choose a leader for an Outcast gang, you can use any fighter or any fighter's stats that you want to in order to lead this gang. And that's exactly what we're going to do with this character is by using Goliath Forged Tyrant because their stats pretty much model what a Space Marine would be able to do, or at least anyways a Space Marine Scout would be able to do. And that's exactly where we'll be focusing on this one. Now, for this character, we're going to make them a Mastermind archetype so that we have really good access to some really good skills, and we're going to give them the Natborn Genesmithing upgrade, which is going to cost 20 credits to do that. That way, when we get Natborn, what's going to end up is going to give him a better intelligence score of 2+. It's going to add that to his intelligence score. It's also going to add another point to his willpower score. Now, unfortunately, we'll drop his cool score, but that's not going to be a big problem because if you drop that cool from 4 to 5 up, it's still a 5 up cool. He's not going to break too easily, right? It's going to be very, very difficult to break. Now, when it comes to his Genesmithing upgrades from being a Natborn Goliath, we're going to go for, first of all, what's called Adaptive Mind. Adaptive Mind basically makes his secondary skills into primary skills. And that's going to be amazing for this Goliath Forge Tyrant because these are the skills he's going to be able to make primary. He's going to be able to choose originally from the Savant as well as the Cunning skills and the Leadership skills. He automatically comes with those because he is a Mastermind archetype, but he's also going to get the Agility skills as well as the Shooting skills are also going to be made primary too, which is going to be really good for this character to use and actually to exploit a lot of really cool skills. It's going to make this guy really unstoppable. At the same time, you're also giving the Prime Specimen Genes upgrade as well. And what Prime Specimen does allows him to actually increase one of his characteristics. It only costs 10 credits, and we're going to use that to increase his movement. So he's going to go from movement 4 to movement 5, so that way he's about average speed for the rest of his Outcast members. After that, we're also going to spend another 20 credits to get him Tyrant's Own, which is another Genesmithing upgrade, which allows you for 20 credits to increase 2 more stats by 1 point as well. And we're going to increase his willpower stat, his wound characteristic as well as his willpower stat, so that way he's willpower 6 as well as making a wound characteristic of 3. Now, the reason why we're increasing his willpower stat to 6+ is because just in case you run into corpse grinders or guys who have fearsome trait, for example, so that way he can take that willpower test, pass it, and then be able to engage those enemies. Now, when it comes to his equipment, we're giving him armored undersuit and combining it with furnace plates, giving him a 5-up armor save, but a 4-up armor save he gets shot from the front. He's also got a 4-up armor save against blast template weapons. We're going to equip him with a combo weapon, which is going to be a bolter and a grenade launcher with frag grenades, so that we can launch frag grenades and shoot a regular bolter as well. We're giving him a stub gun with dum-dum rounds for a backup weapon, as well as a photo goggle, so that way he can see in all conditions. And we're also giving him the munitioneer skill, so that way he can actually help with rerolls for a lot of your fighters. Now, with all this Genesmithing upgrades that we have for this character, his stats are going to look like this. He's going to have a 5-inch movement, a 3+ weapon skill, 3+ ballistic skill. He's got 4 strength, 4 toughness, 3 wounds. He's got a 3+ initiative. He's also going to have 3 attacks base with 5 leadership, 5 cool, 6 willpower, and 5 intelligence. So this is going to be the ultimate pwn and really good balance of stats to make this the ultimate leader for your gang. Now, at the same time, we're going to have 2 Outcast Champions. Outcast Champions number 1 and 2 are both going to cost 185 credits apiece, and they are both equipped exactly the same. Both will have the Gunslinger archetype, so that way they can take advantage of shooting skills. They're also going to be Vatborn, which is giving them automatically to them for free because they're Outcasts. And you're also giving them Thermal Hardening as well, which is going to increase their toughness characteristic from 3 to 4. So they're going to have 4-up toughness, which can make them much more difficult to defeat, to wound against your enemy. You're also giving these guys armored undersuits and furnace plates for that 4-up armor save get shot from the front or from blast attacks, or 5-up armor save normally. You're also giving them a long rifle, and the reason why they can do this is because they're outcast champions and they can take weapons with the rarity 8, and a long rifle is perfect for this. And you're going to equip those long rifles with infra sights, so that way they can shoot in all visibility conditions. Also, your opponent doesn't benefit from partial cover as well. Plus, these weapons can reach out and touch somebody all the way out to 48 inches, so that's going to be really important for you to use that. You're also giving these guys stub guns and dum-dum rounds for backup weapons, as well as the fast shot skill, so that way they can shoot these weapons twice per activation. All right, and that's gonna make them really good. And having that be able to shoot two ways, being able to shoot twice with those long rifles with infra sights at long range, these guys are going to dominate the long range shooting skill and long range shooting game for your gang. And because we are playing with the Amaranthian Succession rules, we can double the number of champions, so long as we have enough fighters with a Gang Fighter X rule to balance it out. Now, your Outcast Champion number 3 is going to cost 305 credits. This fighter is going to have the Mastermind archetype. It's also going to be a Vatborn Goliath with Dermal Hardening. He's also got, that way he's got that 4-up toughness. He's also got an Armor Undersuit and Furnace Plates for that 5-up armor save normally, and a 4-up armor save from being attacked from the front or from a blast weapon. He's also going to be equipped with a heavy bolter, because heavy bolters are absolutely beasts and they will destroy everything that stands in the way, so long as you don't run an ammo check for that. He's also got a stub gun with dum-dum rounds for backup weapon. He's also going to have photo goggles so that way he can shoot in all conditions, and you're going to give him the Overwatch skill so that way he can interrupt enemy activations and open fire with that heavy stubber, which is going to be really nice as well. You're going to be able to message your enemies using Overwatch, and when in combination with your heavy bolter, you can really cause some pain as well. The only thing this guy has going against him right now is that he does not have any ability to fire this weapon and to move in exactly the same turn. It's going to take a double action to fire a heavy bolter, so as soon as possible I suggest that you actually get a suspensor for that weapon, so that way you can make firing a heavy bolter a basic action, so that way you can move as well as shoot that weapon as well. And also, the very first skill you should get for this guy as soon as possible is the Munitioneer skill, so that way you can reroll filled ammo checks for his weapon. Now, Outcast Champion number 4 is going to cost you 310 credits. This fighter is going to have the Mastermind archetype as well. This character is also going to be a Vatborn with Dermal Hardening to give him that 4-up toughness, Armored Undersuit and Furnace Plates for that 5-up armor save normally, and a 4-up armor save for being shot from the front, as well as blast template weapons. And this guy is also going to be packing a missile launcher with frag and crack grenades. Frag and crack missiles, which is going to make this guy be able to fire at even longer ranges and against heavier targets like vehicles, for example, and it's going to be really powerful to use that. He's also going to have a stub gun with dum-dum rounds as a backup weapon, as well as photo goggles, so that way he can shoot in all visibility conditions. And once again, you're giving this guy the Overwatch skill, so that way you can interrupt enemy activations, and combining that with a missile launcher firing frag missiles, it's going to be absolutely hilarious. You can use crack missiles for harder targets like vehicles and such, so it's a really good combination for this guy to use as well. Now, once again, you're also going to want this guy to be able to get a suspensor as soon as possible on his weapon, so that way he can move and shoot the weapon at exactly the same time. Personally, I think the bicep skill, bulging bicep skill, should do this, but them's the breaks. And at the same time, get this guy the munition skill as soon as possible, so that way they can actually redo ammo rerolls just in case if you fail an ammo check. Alright, you're going to have 5 Outcast Hive Scum in total in this game, but Outcast Hive Scum number 1 and 2 are going to be equipped exactly the same at 135 credits apiece. Both will be Vatborns as well with Dermal Hardenings, that way they get that 4-up toughness. They're going to have Armor Undersuits and Furnace Plates for that 5-up armor save normally, and a 4-up armor save against attacks in the front or from blast template weapons. They're also going to be equipped with bolt guns, because bolt guns are the pwn, and they're going to also have stub guns with dum-dum rounds as a backup weapon as well. Those bolt guns are going to be really powerful, but as I recommend for you guys, as soon as possible, get photo goggles for these guys, so that way they can shoot in all visibility conditions as well. After that, you're going to have 2 more Outcast Hive Scum. That's going to be Outcast Hive Scum number 3 and number 4. Both these guys will cost 140 credits apiece. Once again, you're getting Vatborn for these guys with Dermal Hardening, giving that 4-up toughness, Armor Undersuits for Furnace Plates to get that 5-up armor save, and that 4-up armor save from blast template weapons, as well as being attacked from the front. And you give these guys Combat Shotgun with Salvo, as well as Shredder rounds for rapid fire shotgun rounds, as well as template attacks, which is all kinds of awesome. And as well, a stub gun and dum-dum rounds for a backup weapon as well. Combat Shotguns are very powerful for close to medium range shooting, really powerful weapons as well. And just like Outcast Hive Scum number 1 and 2, you want to get photo goggles for these guys as soon as possible, so that way you can shoot in all visibility conditions. And your very last Outcast Hive Scum will be Outcast Hive Scum number 5. This fighter is going to cost you 115 credits. This fighter will have the Vatborn as well as Dermal Hardening for that 4-up armor save, Armor Undersuit and Furnace Plates for that 5-up armor save, or 4-up armor save if you get attacked from the front or from a blast attack. And this fighter is going to have a stub gun with dum-dum rounds, as their primary weapon, as well as a chainsaw, so that way they can fight in close combat and shoot at close range. And the reason why you're taking this character is because you're equipping this guy with smoke grenades. Now, that smoke grenade is going to be very important because you're going to use that smoke grenade to screen your movements as you close a distance to your enemy. As soon as possible, I recommend you buy a bolt pistol for this guy to replace his stub gun with dum-dum rounds, as well as photo goggles for the future, so that way you can fight in all visibility conditions as well. And this is pretty much what I like to call the Space Marine Scout list that you would use for your games of Warhammer 40,000, Kill Team, and more importantly, as for Necromunda. So now that we're done talking about exactly what this list consists of, let's talk about the tabletop tactics and how you'll play these guys on the tabletop. Alright, so let's go on and talk about exactly how I use this gang on the tabletop. So as you can see, I got a little bit of a strip map here. We got your enemy fighter teams number 1 and 2, represented by these 2 orange boxes here. And this is pretty much how you're going to basically deploy your gang on the tabletop. First of all, your support fire team number 1 will be in the center and the back. That's going to be led by your Goliath Forge Charm, as well as champion number 3 and 4. Those are the guys who are armed with the missile launcher, as well as the heavy bolter. And the reason why they're next to the Forge Tyrant is so that way they can take advantage of the Forge Tyrant's munitioneer skill, so that way they can get rerolls and ammo rolls. And from them is going to be your assault fire team, which consists of Hive Scum number 3, 4, and 5. These are the guys who are armed with a combat shotgun, as well as the guy armed with a chainsaw with a stub gun, as well as a smoke grenade. Then you're going to be flanked by your 2 support fire teams. Fire support team number 2 is going to consist of champion number 1 and Hive Scum number 1. Those guys are armed with the long rifle, as with infrared sight, as well as a bolt gun. And the support fire team number 3 is going to be champion number 2, who's got the infrared sight on the long rifle, as well as the Hive Scum number 2, who's armed with a bolt gun. And that's pretty much how you're going to try to deploy your gang during that time period. Now, immediately when you guys go to your very first turn, what's going to happen is this. The first thing that's going to happen is that your assault fire team is going to double move as quick as they can directly towards your enemy. When they do so, of course, your Hive Scum number 5 is going to pop smoke by throwing a smoke grenade to try to block your enemy's line of sight for the most part. Now, while this assault fire team moves forward, support fire team number 2 and support fire team number 3 opens fire at your enemy with long-range shots from their long rifle, as well as from your bolt guns. At the same time, support fire team number 1 does exactly the same thing. Hopefully, you're within range to take advantage of the Forged Tyrant's bolt gun or its grenade launcher, so that way you can fire at your enemies, fire missiles, as well as heavy bolters directly at your enemy to kind of suppress them for the most part. Hopefully you're pinning your enemies down while this is all taking place. Now, when you do this, my suggestion to you is actually hold back on champions number 3 and 4, because they both have Overwatch. Activate these guys last, so that way they can pop enemies just in case your enemy tries to do anything, and psychologically mess with your enemy while you're doing so. Now, when we get to turn number 2, this is pretty much how it's going to work out. Your assault fire team is going to charge forward into one of your enemy fire teams. Meanwhile, support fire team number 2 and number 3, they maneuver in positions towards the flanks, so that way they can lay suppressive fire at the same time at your enemies. And what's going to happen is while this assault fire team deals with one of your enemy fire teams, your other support fire team, led by your Forge Tyrant and your champions, will then lay down suppressive fire on the other team, so that way the other team can't do much of anything. That's going to create this a situation where you can flank these guys and catch them in an L-shaped attack and do exactly the same thing this way as the battle continues. Now, by turn number 3, it should look like something like this. Your assault fire team has got your enemy engaged in close combat. Same thing with fire support team number 2. Hopefully, fire support number 3 can also charge in close combat or within close range shooting to attack your enemies, while support fire team number 1 continue long bombing it with those long range attacks. And by the time we get to team number 4, hopefully, fire support number team number 2, as well as the assault fire team, has eliminated this half of the gang, and they can maneuver in directly to this enemy as well and destroy them with your support fire team number 3, as well as shooting from support fire team number 1. And that's pretty much how this should work out. Now, unfortunately, until you get suspensors for your gang, this fire support team is going to have to be hanging out in the back for the most part, because they can't move and shoot the same turn because they're heavy weapons. So get suspensors as soon as possible, so that way that's not going to be a huge issue for you as your gang battles through on their turn. And that's pretty much how you're going to use these guys on the tabletop. So now that we're done talking about tabletop tactics, let's talk how this game is going to develop as your campaign goes over this course. Now, first of all, Munitioneer is going to be your friend. So as soon as possible, try to get Munitioneer for your Outcast champions number 3 and 4. Those are the guys who are armed with the heavy bolter as well as the missile launcher, so that way they can take care of those higher ammo rolls for their weapons as well. At the same time, your gang leader and your champions can then also support your fighters who also have bolt guns as well. The first thing you want to do, of course, as the campaign develops, is to purchase suspensors for your heavy weapons. So that's for your heavy bolter as well as your missile launchers. That way those champions can move and shoot during the same turn. It'll be very important for you to do that as quickly as possible. It's going to be 120 credits to do that, so I suggest you do that ASAP. The second most important thing you want to do, of course, is to purchase photo goggles for all of your fighters you don't have at. That's going to be all your Outcast Hive scum. And the reason why you want to do that is so that way they can see in all visibility conditions, just in case you go out to the ash waste, or you have environmental effects, or whatever the case may be, blackout conditions, whatever. Having those photo goggles will really help them be able to engage your enemies at range, and that's going to really help you out as well. The third thing you want to do, of course, is to purchase close combat weapons for all your gang members. Brute cleavers are quite nice. Same thing with spudjackers. Chain swords could be good too. I would suggest going with brute cleavers just because these guys are all going to have like little accessories for their fighting knives, and since Space Marine fighting knives are pretty much the size of giant machetes anyways, you could just say that they're brute cleavers for the most part. And probably the last thing you want to do, of course, is to focus on respirators for your fighters, and the reason why is because with your higher toughness, your opponent's going to try to use toxin as well as gas attacks to try to mess you up, so you're going to want those respirators to make them a little bit tougher and more survivable against those kind of weapons. And that's how you're going to develop this gang as your campaign develops. So in the end, the new Kill Team miniatures are absolutely beautiful, especially the ones that came out for Kill Team Salvation. They actually look really, really cool on the tabletop, and there's some really beautiful sculpts as well. And at the same time, there's some good flexibility with the box sets that you have, and that way you can use them for multiple games. You can use them for your games of Warhammer 40,000, at the same time use them for Warhammer Kill Team, and you can also use these guys for Necromunda, and that's exactly what this whole video is about. And unfortunately, the way that the world economy is going with, being able to use the same group of miniatures for multiple games equals huge savings for you, and it's going to give you a lot of different type of games you can play and actually have more fun doing that at the same time. So there you guys have it. This is how you guys can use Space Marine Scouts from Kill Team in your games on Necromunda. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is valuable to us as always. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the latest greatest hobby news related to this channel. That's good for this one, you guys. I will catch you guys next one. Peace out and stay classy.